Hi, welcome back. Okay, let's get straight to the point. Last time you experienced what a level 0 of a concept is like. It is kind of pointless to those who are already on or above that level, which means most of you. For understanding the slightly advanced idea, we need a source for reference, simply for reference. And we are using Ashtagardhya for that. So, in the very first chapter, the properties or the identifier markers of these doshas are described as the first one is starts like Tatra Ruksho Lakushida, etc. We'll start decoding from there. Pretty much everything will be based on that point of view. Acharya had a poetic mind, so he kind of hated repeating things, and that's why we can mostly never see him repeating the terms Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. He expected us to have at least that level of competence in learning. Obviously, the first line has to be about the first dosha, Vata. So let's get into it. Tatra ruksho lagushi dakhara sushmaschalo anilaha. Here, he used markers for identifying doshas using our five senses rather than the mind. That is why most of these are physiological signs or physical signs of them. I will not be explaining verbatim here. The first two terms represent the absence of something, as we have mentioned previously. Dryness and lightness are actually the absence of anxious and heavy, which is ruksha and laku, the dryness and lightness. Basically, the qualities of palpable state of matter. And Shita. Shita means the absence of Ushna, which means cold and hot. Shita means cold and Ushna means hot. We do not have a naturally occurring cold energy source anywhere, or at least not to my knowledge. Cold can be created only when the heat energy gets less and less. Even when Acharyas say that there are two Viryas, Ushna and Shita, there is actually only Ushna, which is heat, and the absence of heat, which is Shida or coldness, as we can call. And getting to the next point, Kara means rough, which happens when things get corroded or eroded. It kind of represents imperfections. Even in case of skincare, we do things to clear up that roughness. And how do we do that? We fill the pores using foundation or talcum powder or stuff like that. So, we clearly understand the very basic idea that roughness is due to the absence of something or the incomplete absence of something. And what does it mean by sukshma? Sukshma translates to minute, which is not a palpable property. It can only be understood. How do we define the size of a substance? Well, by defined borders of it, which means by comparing it to the space it occupies. So, minute means that it occupies lesser space. Something that occupies less space means that there is less of that substance. Okay, I will say that in a simpler terms. Something that occupies less space means that there is less of that substance. That is basic common sense. If I say that I ate a whole cake, it means that it occupied a lot of space in my stomach. But if I eat a slice only, it takes less space, which means that when I ate a slice only, there is more space than substance. That is essentially what sukshma or minute means. It can enter any space because it is small in size, right? That is essentially what sukshma or minute means. It can enter any space. It only occupies very small area so that it can enter wherever it needs to. Just like in the case of aerial pollutants, the more minute the particle gets, the deeper into the alveoli they enter. This reference will be used in several areas later, so please keep that in mind. It might be a little bit hard to understand, but please try to understand, and I cannot spoon feed you everything. And to completely understand the concept of space and empty space of dosha and others, I will be uploading another video regarding the Panchabhodhika concept of Ayurveda, and I will be providing the link. And last but not least, well, last but most importantly, chala. What does chala mean? Chala translates to movement or enabling movement or everything that I have mentioned in the first video about doshas. So I guess there is no need for repeating it here. This is only regarding the visible or noticeable signs of Vata as Acharya Vakpada has mentioned. We will dive deeper again, but later, not now, not today.